The youth collection makes BUDIDESA become so different because, as you know, that I'm quite famous in collecting mega-size artwork. In the same time, we have commissioned many artworks that is so large and so big and so important in the world. We all bring them to BUDIDESA for the permanent display. In the same time, BUDIDESA will give prominent artists to actually make their own art park. The sculpture park is not so-called sculpture that I'm interested in. We are related to many other spiritual elements like fire, like water, like light. So this makes BUDIDESA become so different compared to the other art park. I promise that. This project is really, for me, I think is the last chapter of my so-called my career. I don't want to have another other thing rather than BUDIDESA, Budikota, and the project is on, and the whole Bali is our landscape. We can go beyond the area that we have now. We can go further and further.
Yeah.
So and I believe this is going to be so exciting for both of us and for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And I believe that this is going to be so exciting. And my wife said to me, yeah, if I want to retire, I will choose Bali.
Landscape and the idea of nature is extremely important in Balinese society. In fact, nowhere else in the world is landscape more ritualized than in Bali. So we have the rice paddy fields on top of the site, and there's a river at the bottom of the site. And the art park, the BUDIDESA art park, is in this valley, this beautiful lush green valley between the rice paddy fields and the river. And that relationship between a river and agricultural fields is fundamental to the project, and one of the most challenging and inspirational aspects to the project. So our first idea was to, and this was the very first sketch, was to design an art park and a museum experience that where the building is a landscape and where the building participates in the same rituals as the agricultural landscape and in all of the same, let's say, ecological aspects, and that uses the flow of water as water moves from the agricultural fields down to the river. So if I was to cut a section through the island of Bali, water for farming starts in the volcanoes, in the lakes from the volcanoes. And water flows from the volcanoes to the rice fields. And if you haven't seen these rice fields in Bali, they are the most beautiful cultural landscapes really in the world, and have recently been protected by UNESCO. In fact, Bali is often cited as one of the world's best examples of humans living in harmony with nature. So when the water flows to the agricultural fields, it first is regulated by water temples. And the water temples allow for the cooperation of farmers and the water that they need to support their livelihoods. And so the water makes it down through the country, and before it gets to the river and the ocean, it hits our site. So our site is here. So how to look at art and how to understand art in a tropical environment, it's very important for us to look at the landscape and to look at the flow of water and to understand the larger view of, or let's say the larger impact that our building has in the landscape. So our first idea was to understand the building as a landscape. So the building is continuous with the rice paddy fields as it descends into the valley. And the idea was to display artwork on top of the roof of the building and allow for exhibition spaces below the roof. And that we would allow for the flow of water on top of the building down to the river below, but still allow for the display of artwork inside of the building. So this was one of the first conceptual models here, this wooden model. And it just shows how we develop a very simple way to descend down the valley. So if you understand the rice field as having terraces where water is captured and organized into these fields, what we're doing is we're putting a building inside of this cultural landscape. And we're just allowing for the rooftop to organize circulation, or to allow people to walk from one terrace to the next. And while they walk down this landscape, they are able to look at art, and they're able to appreciate the landscape and everything that the Balinese landscape is about, and to see this sculpture, of the Yu's collection and Budides's collection of large-scale sculpture within this tropical environment. I mean, the most important thing for us was to allow for the artwork to be set against this tropical landscape, so that you see these very contemporary sculptures against the backdrop of beautiful tropical Bali.
Why Bali? Because of the weather, the people, the culture, and because I'm Indonesian. So Budidesa will be a kind of phenomena in this place. We will build something that is so extraordinary, so different compared to the other art park. So give me 3 years to realize it, and we will give you the best of the best in our capacity to present Budidesa in Bali Island, the island of goddess.